This video is for business leaders who want a winning content creation strategy based on mindsets. So it's kind of a generative analogy in that by having mindsets rather than specific techniques, though they're kind of overlapping in this case, instead of just saying, oh, well, what do we do with this project and that project? You know what to do for any piece of content you want to create because you're focusing it in a particular direction. So watch the video to the end where I'll give you some additional insights into how you can use the mindsets that I'm talking about and a little bit of the science geek stuff that I like, but will also be very helpful to you, but it'll make a lot more sense if you watch the video first. So marketing content mindsets help you create content that speaks to the wants and needs of your target market. Remember, and I struggle with this myself, I'm a hypocrite by doing this video, we have to focus on what it is that our target customer wants. As much as we may or may not be our target customer, if they don't use language closely aligned with our own, it won't speak to them and they're unlikely to even search for it. So that's a significant issue. So who knows, if everything goes well, there's nothing guaranteed in life, and certainly this video hopefully will change your life, but there's no guarantee. But this mindset's may be a game changer in the way you approach your social media marketing, and I hope it is. The essence is about giving value selflessly and building ongoing relationships with your audience or prospects. Now, understand what I'm talking about in this case is the sense that they have a relationship with you. It is actually ideal if you interact real life with, or digitally real life, with your target market, but obviously that isn't practical if you're talking about hundreds or thousands or millions of people who watch your content or who interact with your content, but you want to give them that sense. And this is about mindsets which will help you give your audience that sense that you're speaking to them, not a million random people who just happen to be in the same sort of demographic and psychographic category. So by delivering content or value selflessly and building real relationships or the sense of a real relationship, people will self-select into your social media universe. The first thing you want to do is you want to empty your cup. So become a student of two things, and one of those is the algorithm. You want to learn, you actually want to learn from both the algorithm and especially from the response of your target market, your audience, those who engage with your content. Whatever you do, though, is don't try to game the algorithm. You're fighting it, and that's the reason why legitimate social media marketers, such as myself and many other people, are having more challenges, because as people try to do shady things, it puts in unnecessary restrictions that wouldn't be there if people would just behave themselves and try to align with the goals of the algorithm and the platforms rather than fighting against them. So if you align with it and align with the content, the goal for the algorithm, the goal for the platform, instead of having to fight with it and try to chase it and do shady, gamey things with it, the algorithm and the platform will, for the most part, always support your efforts. And that, of course, means better reach and engagement for you. On social media, one thing you need to focus on that I think people lose track of is like sort of the vanity metrics. Focus on high engagement, not high superficial growth. To be honest, likes are lazy. If you have 1 million likes on your content, that's great, but remember that a like takes about 1/10 of a second of somebody's effort. So that isn't what would represent good engagement. You'd be better to look at even somebody saying, great video. Typing that is barely more than clicking like, but it shows more engagement. So focus on the engagement, focus on comments and other things rather than likes or anything that takes a fraction of a second of their effort. because that's indicative of they like it just enough to do that, but not enough to actually put any effort into giving their thoughts, which are the customers or the people most likely to be your customers. So whenever somebody interacts with your content, and this is something that is retarded because you could even do this automated, if somebody actually leaves a comment, respond. Give a comment back, and something ideally which is meaningful to what they said. But even an automated thank you for your support or thank you for commenting is better than most social media managers and most companies do in their social media efforts, which again is retarded, given that that could be done automatically. So some version of if commented, send, and then send a generic canned response, which still feels more like a personal interaction than those you comment and you never get any response from. So what you should do is you should be asking yourself, and this is sort of the mindset, asking yourself how you can actually help your customers, not what you have to offer and shove down your customer's throat that you know they need. It doesn't matter if they don't need it and they're not looking for it. It might change their life, but only if they find it and interact with it. So be as specific and concrete as you can in your language as you possibly can. That is, in answering the question, how can I help my customers? Of course, this means knowing your customer, interacting with your customer, and learning from your customer, not just what you think your customer is, but the real human carbon-based units, not the algorithm. So the next thing you can ask yourself, and this goes into a little deeper sort of the psychographics, where's their head and heart at? That is, when they do engage with your content, there's things you can look at besides just the most superficial message that's in front of you. So look for the intent and goals of their word and phrase choices, more than just looking at what they said in the most superficial level. There's some research that supports this, that how people phrase things is very telling as to what they mean and what their intent is in natural language and language that seems less natural, especially when there's some sort of not necessarily benevolent intent behind it. I'll get to that later in the bonus material because it's related. So the other one is when you're giving content, make sure that it's given with the real intent to help others, not a self-serving reframe of some goal you have. That is, oh, I'm selling insurance, so I help people by selling insurance, because if they get in trouble, our insurance company will help them. That isn't really what it is. That's just a half-assed fake reframe. This is everybody trying to find their why, but in a superficial way. If you can't answer the question of how it genuinely helps them beyond that really superficial BS answer, which is buy my product because it'll help you, then they're probably not going to buy it. I remember being in a posting pod, and that's exactly what happened. When I started to ask real questions that a customer might ask, turned out that really it was just insurance, which was a really bad deal for the customer, which isn't helping the customer. If that's the case, either don't sell that product, get out of that market, or phrase your stuff in a way where it aligns with your true intent. And your true intent, if it's not to help them, they're going to pick up on that a lot more than you think they will. So the other one is to look at the keywords in their content, because not only is that good for your own language for your future social media marketing, but it tells you, again, sort of where their head is at. That, yeah, I'm going to get back to that, but that's important. That's why I'm repeating it. So remember that what you're really doing business with is humans and not algorithms. So as much as the software is informative, it is not really who you're doing business with. You're doing business with real humans, especially after you've established a relationship or a sense of a relationship. So it still comes down to that whole WIIFM. What's in it for me? Or I guess what's in it for them? And if you can't answer that, they won't engage with your content beyond the like, if they ever do even that, and they won't do business with you. Another thing you can and should do is show some version, whether it's you doing the content or your team. You need to show some version of your authentic self in your content if you want people, and humans are the customers, to like and trust you, and how you can deliver real value while assuming that they'll give you nothing in return. So this is a gift you're giving them, and you have to mean it, or again, they're going to pick up on it. And this gets to something that I really hate, and it's called PLR, or public licensing rights. The reason that this is garbage content is because it's being sold mass market, and it's usually written by non-native speakers. It's usually pretty bad. It's oftentimes not accurate in terms of what they say, because they just go on, do a search, and then write a piece. And the search, they don't look deep enough to know whether the information they've put inside that content is accurate. And I purchased some PLR content. In fact, I purchased about $400 worth of PLR content, and I used exactly $1 worth of it. And that's all it took me to discover that it's mostly garbage content. And for the time that it takes you or your media team to fix it to be something that's less than sucking, is probably going to take longer than writing an original content piece yourself and be of inferior quality. And in particular, what I did is, after doing that one piece of content, I started shopping for the content that I was, before buying it, even at $1, is to look at the first few phrases and then go online and see if I could find it other places, which I always was able to. So that means if you are trying to set yourself apart as somewhere that somebody wants to get real resources, and they can find the same exact or very similar content that was obviously mass sold, it's clearly not you, and now your credibility is dead. PLR, sorry to say, is garbage. Write your own content, or you're basically going to pay for it in your credibility. So to get deep engagement, really what you want to do is you want to niche down to an audience who actually cares and knows about the topic. It certainly helps that the person, whether it's you or your media team, actually knows something about that topic. You want to talk science? I like science. You want to talk science fiction? I like science fiction. You want to talk kite surfing? I like kite surfing. I actually know something about that. So if that isn't there, if it's just, again, an algorithmic kind of formulation of the content, well, then people know you really don't get them or what they care about. And this is repeating myself again, but because it's this important, have no agenda beyond building that relationship or that perception of a relationship with this person until you start interacting with them, or they start interacting with your product directly, and then get more personal with them. People are happy to engage with you or your content when you focus on that building relationship, especially while giving value without obligation. So doing business with you or evangelizing your brand becomes essentially a foregone conclusion, provided they get an ROI that's been given up front. That is, you've already demonstrated the value of your product, your service, whatever it is, to them before they've spent a cent. And then they go, yeah, this is somebody I want to do business with. This is somebody or a product, a brand that I would like to be involved with and even evangelize. So you've made it to the bonus content. Congratulations. Bonus number 1 is at the beginning of your content, especially if it's, say, a video like this or anything, though, admit a flaw, mistake, or drawback, even to your own product, because by putting it at the very beginning, research has shown they will believe everything you say thereafter to a greater degree. So it could be like I did, saying, well, this content may not change your life. That's an example of that, because it may not. The next one is bonus 2 is the language of lying. It's a video that talks about the language when I was talking about the detection of people's intent in the language, how they interact with your channel, but also how you interact with them. If you interact in an insincere way because it's really about buy my product, the language you use unconsciously will belie to somebody who is astute, who has good IQ. Your language will not seem right. If you have the intent, if you have the mindset, your language will automatically be right because you actually mean what you say. If you don't, there's a way they can detect that. I'll put a link to the thing right there. It's a short video, part of a TED Talk, only a few minutes long, but it's really informative about why genuine intent and how you or they can detect deceptive, dishonest, or language with something hidden behind the surface meaning of the words. So if you liked this content, share the love by sharing this video if you learned something from it. That's it for Crush It Club 204, Marketing Content Mindsets. My name is Tim B. Green. Bye for now.